He was a man who had it all, or so the world believed. Nathaniel Pierce, a reclusive tech billionaire, lived in a sprawling glass mansion perched high above the hills. His company had revolutionized digital security, and he had become a household name, not for his charm, but for his mysterious solitude. Despite his wealth, his life was a series of calculated routines and cold silences. After losing his parents at a young age and recently enduring a betrayal by a close friend who embezzled millions, Nathaniel had built walls so high that even he could no longer see over them. People feared crossing him. His employees walked on eggshells. His home was guarded by cutting-edge biometric locks, security drones, and AI systems only he could access. Yet even with all the tech and treasures, his mansion felt more like a vault than a home. No one truly knew the man inside it. But one soul did break through: Anna. Anna was his housemaid, a soft-spoken woman in her early 30s. She came from a modest background. She had once been a schoolteacher before a family tragedy forced her to take multiple jobs to support her younger siblings. When she began working at Nathaniel's estate, she had no idea who he was, and unlike others, she didn't treat him like a celebrity. That intrigued him. At first, their interactions were brief, just a nod or a polite, "Good morning." Over time, however, Nathaniel noticed something different about Anna. She moved with a grace that suggested she took pride in her work. She never pried into his life or asked for anything. While others envied his wealth, Anna seemed indifferent to it. She watered the plants as though they were her children, folded his shirts with care, and once even left a handwritten quote on his breakfast tray: "Loneliness is the poverty of self, solitude is the richness of self." That quote stayed with him. One afternoon, after returning from a tense board meeting, Nathaniel watched Anna from a hidden hallway camera, something he did often, not out of distrust, but curiosity. She was dusting the study where a massive safe stood behind a bookshelf. That day, however, he had done something he never thought he would: he left the safe open. Inside it were millions in bearer bonds, rare gemstones, and a handwritten will. He wanted to test her. What would she do if given the chance? Would she fall like the others? Anna entered the room with her usual quiet steps, her cleaning supplies in hand. She didn't immediately notice the open safe. She dusted the shelves, humming a gentle tune, an old lullaby from her childhood. When she finally turned and saw the gaping safe, she froze. The camera zoomed in as she slowly stepped closer. She looked inside. Her eyes scanned the piles of wealth, enough to feed her entire village for a year. Her fingers trembled as she reached toward the edge, then she stopped. Nathaniel's heart pounded, but instead of touching anything inside, Anna gently pushed the heavy door closed. Then she walked to the desk, found a sticky note, and wrote, "Sir, your safe was open when I entered. I did not touch anything, but thought you should know, Anna." She left the note on top of his daily planner and continued dusting, as though nothing had happened. Nathaniel watched the entire scene twice. Then a third time. That night, he couldn't sleep. Her integrity had shaken him more than any market crash ever could. In a world that revolved around power and deceit, Anna's honesty felt like a warm light in a long, cold tunnel. The next morning, Anna entered the kitchen as usual, preparing breakfast. Nathaniel appeared at the doorway, barefoot, without the usual entourage of assistants. "I read your note," he said softly. She turned, startled. "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to alarm." You didn't," he interrupted. "You impressed me." She blushed, unsure of what to say. He walked in and sat at the table. "Would you join me for coffee?" From that day forward, their relationship changed. He began talking to her, really talking, about his past, his fears, and the ache of betrayal that had never left him. Anna listened without judgment. She never asked for more than he offered. Over weeks, Nathaniel found himself smiling again, something he hadn't done in years. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the balcony, Nathaniel turned to her. "You passed a test I didn't even realize I needed to give. Not just of honesty, but of heart." "I didn't know I was being tested," she replied with a soft laugh. "That's why you passed." Time went on. Nathaniel offered to pay for Anna's siblings' education. He also set up a trust fund in her name, not out of charity but admiration. But Anna wasn't easily bought. "I don't need anything," she told him once. "You've already given me kindness. That's more than enough." And yet, love has a way of blooming in the most unlikely places. A year later, the headlines exploded. Tech billionaire marries former maid in private ceremony. The public was stunned. Critics called it a publicity stunt. But those who truly knew Nathaniel saw the change in his eyes. The icy CEO had thawed. He smiled more, traveled less, and even donated large portions of his wealth to charity initiatives, at Anna's suggestion. Their love story became a modern-day fable, a tale not of luxury but of values. Of how one woman's simple act of honesty cracked open a heart locked behind wealth, fear, and distrust. And in the end, it wasn't the billions in the safe that mattered, it was the priceless honesty of a maid who taught a billionaire how to trust again. They weren't perfect. They had arguments, struggles, and challenges. But their bond was real. Rooted not in riches, but in something far rarer. Mutual respect, quiet love, and the kind of integrity that can't be bought. To this day, visitors to their home see a sticky note framed on the wall, above a now permanently open safe. It reads, "Sir, your safe was open when I entered. I did not touch anything, but thought you should know, Anna." A reminder that sometimes, the smallest moments reveal the biggest truths. And that even in a world obsessed with power, the human heart, when honest, remains the most valuable treasure of all.